And now for the bad news, the top worst films of 2011. Number 10, The Three Musketeers. Ugh. I knew I wasn't gonna like it, but I had time to kill one day, and I thought, what the heck, I'm curious. Ugh. And this is not me being a purist to the book or anything. I haven't read the book. I haven't seen the proper movies from like the 40s or the 70s or whatever. The only Three Musketeers I know are the 1993 version, which I know is not anywhere close to the book, and the Man in the Iron Mask. That's all I know, but I love both of those movies. I admit it. They're silly, they're campy, but I love them. This one, oh God. Anyone not named D'Artagnan and Milady de Winter might as well have not even existed. Seriously, I am like, D'Artagnan always annoys me in the other versions that I've seen, but this kid might take the cake. First of all, he looked too young. He looked like he was 12. Maybe D'Artagnan is supposed to be that young in the book, but he looked like a child. A child. And it was bugging me. His love interest was bland, and the Three Musketeers, well, maybe Athos, but Porthos and Aramis might as well have not have been there. They literally did nothing in this movie. Nothing! And the Three Musketeers aren't even in the climax. The ships fall out of the sky, I'll get to that in a minute, and then D'Artagnan has a sword fight with some guy, and then that's it! I was so bleh. And then let's talk about Milla Jovovich. Her husband directed this, and I think he's directed the Resident Evil movies, and he apparently just likes to plaster her on screen to, like, show her off. And I can certainly believe that after this. She was so annoying. I don't have a problem with her in other roles, but oh my God, she was annoying in this. And I swear she ate up 70% of the screen time. All about her. And she was annoying. I guess she was supposed to be, like, sassy and tough, but it was so forced and awkward. I'm like, shut up, lady, just shut up. And then having these big, slow-mo sword fights in that heavy Victorian dress. No. No, you would not be jumping around, flying through the air, beating trained guards in a dress like that. Not going to happen. When she finally left the movie, oh God, I was so happy. Unfortunately, by that time the movie was almost over, so it was pointless. The only person who looked like they were having fun was Orlando Bloom, playing one of the villains. He actually looked like he was having a ball. He was hamming it up like crazy, and maybe he was having fun, because normally he's cast as a very bland romantic lead. So, I guess it was nice to watch him having fun, but the rest of it, this movie had flying ships. Flying ships! Now, you'd think that would be fun and silly. But no, they managed to make even that boring. Ugh, skip it. It was terrible. Go watch the 93 version. Go. Number 9, Sucker Punch. I wanted to like it. I so wanted to like it. But I didn't. The visuals were nice. The story wasn't that bad. I wasn't, like, offended by it, as I know a lot of people were, which, you know, is fine. They saw something in it that I guess I didn't. But it just wasn't that exciting, or, like, the fight sequences, they were all in her head, so there was no real tension or suspense with them, you know? And this whole, oh, she's so captivating while she dances, yet we never actually see her dance, so, yeah, they just cut to another imagination fight scene. The characters weren't that interesting. The only one I kind of liked was Sweet Pea, but the rest of them were boring. It was sort of like watching a video game during the fight sequences. That's what it was like. It was like watching a video game, and not a very good one. Number 8, Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. I knew I wasn't going to like it. I went anyway. I was curious. It was like the Three Musketeers. I was curious. Geoffrey Rush is the only thing I liked about it. He's the only one who brought some life into it, some excitement into it. The rest of it, God, I am sick of Jack Sparrow. I said it. I'm sick of him. When the first movie came out, I was so in love with him. I just thought he was the greatest thing ever. And he was, at the time. The problem is, Jack Sparrow was written as a fairly normal guy. Johnny Depp's performance is what made him wacky. And then, in the rest of the movies, they started writing for a wacky character, as opposed to a normal guy that Johnny Depp made wacky. Therefore, what was cute and charming and clever in the first one was now annoying and stupid and made you want to punch him in the sequels. nothing against Johnny Depp, he's a great actor, but I'm sick of Jack Sparrow. I don't want to see him anymore. And of course, Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley are gone, which I know some people were happy about. I was not. I liked Will and Elizabeth. We got some bland, pointless stand-ins for them this year that went nowhere and had... Well, I guess it kind of went somewhere, but... they really didn't... They had a relationship that didn't need to be there. It was stupid and boring, and Penelope Cruz was boring, and Ian McShane was boring. Everything was boring, except for Jeffrey Rush. Number 7, The Thing. It was boring. I mean, it had its moments, but mostly it was boring, and I normally like movies like that. Oh, we're trapped in this isolated place, and there's a monster, and one of us is probably the monster. I love things like that, and they made a whole movie out of it boring. Just boring. It had some good effects, it had some good characters, but you could tell who was gonna die and who was gonna live, so of course all the characters... Number 6, Priest. Oh god, Priest. Boring. And stupid. The only thing I liked about it was the only reason I went. Karl Urban. He did a good performance, he looked like he was at least having a ball with it. That's all that mattered, that's the only reason I went. Other than that, my God, there was no life in these people. None at all. There was no life in the scenery. It was all this bland, boring desert, and the fights were kind of dull. The only fight sequence I remember is one that Mackie Q had at the end, but other than that, I'm like, oh my God. The lead, there is no personality in him. None at all. He had nothing to work with. It was awful. Number 5, Bad Teacher. I guess this is in the same vein as Bad Santa, which I admit I haven't seen, but she was such a reprehensible human being. And I'm not saying she needed to turn into some sugar-sweet Miss Frizzle type at the end, but something would have been nice, and I don't feel like we got that at all. She basically got away with everything she did, and she did some illegal things, and I don't know why Jason Segel was in the movie at all, and I don't know why he liked her and wanted to go out with her. She was so horrible to him and horrible to everybody. And, which, I'm okay with horrible characters as long as it's funny. This wasn't funny. I got a couple of laughs, but mostly I'm like, God, just make it stop. Number 4, The Roommate. It's pretty generic. There was not a whole lot of surprises to it. The only thing that somewhat surprised me is that they didn't kill the gay character. You know, normally that's easy cannon fodder, but they let her live. That surprised me. It starred Minka Kelly, and that was one of my problems with it. I can't stand her and her mousy little voice. Leighton Meester is the other star of it, and I really like her. I don't know why she keeps getting stuck in crappy movies. She's better than that. And yeah, just not very scary. Some of it's actually kind of funny when Leighton Meester's beating herself up. I'm like, okay. Stuff like that was funny, but overall, it was nothing too exciting. Number 3, Red Riding Hood. This one I had time to think about before I decided that I hated it. I like Catherine Hardwicke. I do. I did not like Twilight, but I like Catherine Hardwicke. And I like Amanda Seyfried. This movie was just, I keep saying this, but it's true. This is the sin of most of the movies on this list. It was boring. It looked beautiful, and there was a fairly good mystery of who is the wolf. I was sort of into that, but mostly it was boring. The whole love triangle thing was stupid and pointless because the one guy she didn't want in the slightest. So I don't even know why there was a triangle there at all. It was, ugh, God. Yeah, like I said, visually it was well done, but the rest of it, and Amanda Seyfried's character had no personality. A lot of them didn't have personalities. It's just bland. Number 2, and I might get crap for saying this, but I don't care. Paul. Objectively, this is not a bad movie. It's not. But it was such a personal disappointment to me. If I had no expectations, I probably would have enjoyed it a lot. But I had expectations, and I've had expectations for years about it. And I was so unbelievably let down. I love Simon and Nick. Hot Fuzz is my favorite movie of all time. I love Shaun of the Dead. I love Space. This was awful to me. There's some good things about it. I got some laughs, and Jason Bateman is easily the best part about it. But other than that, I'm like, this does not even feel like a Simon and Nick movie. And Edgar Wright didn't direct this, and I really felt his absence. I felt it. And other than that, I just felt like the characters they were playing, Graham and I can't even remember the other one's name, didn't even really interact that much. Like, once they met Paul, and then Kristen Wiig joined in, it's like they barely said 2 words to each other. And then Simon Pegg got together with Kristen Wiig. Whoever told them on the set of Hot Fuzz to lose the girlfriend character, I applaud you. It was the best advice he could have gotten. And yet, here he goes in this one, putting in a girlfriend and basically having her render Nick Frost's character irrelevant. That annoyed me so much. And the girlfriend worked fine in Shaun of the Dead, but here, maybe it was Kristen Wiig, but I liked her fine in Bridesmaids, but in this, I'm like, God, shut up and go away. And then Seth Rogen, you know, I said he's hit or miss. This is a miss. He voiced Paul, and I'm like, shut up. The best parts about it were the references to Star Wars and Indiana Jones, and the twist with Jason Bateman. And Jason Bateman, period, was the best part about it. But other than that, I was so let down. So let down. And I know a lot of people seem to enjoy it, and that's good. I'm glad they did. And like I said, it's not a bad movie. I was just really disappointed because I expected better from them. I expected more from them. I expected Hot Fuzz or Shaun of the Dead with an alien, and I did not get that. So, yep, Paul. And the number 1 worst movie of 2011 was The Green Lantern. Wow, I didn't know I could dislike a superhero movie that much. It's a mess. It's just a mess of a movie. It's all... I feel like so much of it was cut out and edited down because stuff comes out of nowhere with no explanation. Like, at one point, some people get kidnapped, and then the Green Lantern suddenly bursts in not 2 minutes after they get kidnapped. Didn't even cut to another scene. And I'm like, how did you know they were there? I know they said something about his ring lighting up, but they could have at least showed that, not just suddenly have him bursting in. And to be fair, I don't know anything about the Green Lantern other than what this movie has told me. That, and at the end, the bad guys got another person held hostage, and you didn't even see how that happened. Just suddenly he's got this person, and you're like, okay, guess it wasn't important to show us how that happened. And his character arc was ridiculous because it was about him not having fear, yet he's like a test pilot for the military. And it just seemed shoehorned in to give him some sort of arc because he didn't do anything to earn the ring. It was literally just handed to him and he's like, oh, okay. It was stupid, and the effects weren't very good. Like, his mask literally looked colored in. It was just a bad movie. Just a bad movie. And I like Ryan Reynolds, I do, and it's not that he did a bad job at all. It's just the writing was bad. It did not hang together well. None of the other characters were really developed. Some were just totally dropped. I was disappointed. This was just the worst superhero movie that came out last year. Maybe he'll make that Deadpool movie now because I don't see a Green Lantern sequel happening. So there you have it. Those are my top 10 worst films of 2011. Let's hope 2012 is better.